All right. Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started today. I thank you for coming. And today we're going to be discussing the tool called Property Watch. This is available through RWT Connect, and it's available through the Site Builder websites. This tool basically allows you to send new listing notifications and price changes and photo changes and description changes and things like that to your clients directly through your CRM, and it drives traffic back to your website. So this can be an alternative to using the MLS, or it can be an alternative to using some of the other tools that we have as well. The big benefit to this is, of course, the personalized branding and then driving that traffic back to your website. It's really important that you try to drive as much traffic to your website as possible. We do know that Google does weight traffic to your website when it's considering where it ranks your website in the different algorithms that it has for search results. So driving traffic back to your website can make the difference between outranking another realtor in the market and also be able to bolster the efforts that you're using with your search engine optimization. There's a couple of other benefits to using this as well. We really love the personalized experience that comes with using Property Watch because it does come with a client dashboard. So a client can actually go onto your website and log in to your website and be able to see all sorts of different things, their saved searches, their favorite properties. It also ties in with the seller report. So if you're working with a client that might be both a seller and they're also looking to buy, it does tie into their seller report as well. We won't be able to see the seller report side of things just because we are not using an account today with an active listing, but I did want to let you know that seller report will show up as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started today. Just as a reminder, while I go ahead and get the share up, that if you do have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand or pop them into chat. I do have Haley in here, who is our wonderful training admin, and she'll let me know if I need to be interrupted. I do have a couple of breaks in here that we can also ask questions. All right. So I am on my training account. This is for Mary Agent. She is one of our agents here in the company, as you can see, and she does have a site builder website. As you know, when I do my training, sometimes I like to start at the end and go back to the beginning, so some of it makes sense. So today I wanted to actually start with the client dashboard so that you can see what it looks like for your client as they start to go forward. So this is the website. This is a live website. It's, of course, our training website. Hopefully you guys all have one who are in here. And if not, and you need information on it, do let me know. If you email websupport@rwtown.com, we'll be happy to send you some more information about site builder websites. But every single site builder website has a button up somewhere at the top. Sometimes it's in your navigation bar. Sometimes it's all the way up here that says log in. And that is actually for your clients to be able to log into their client dashboard. Anytime you make someone a saved search or you have them set up for a seller report, they do have access to that client dashboard. So if I go ahead and click on login, I'm going to pause here for 1 second because we do have the login features, but I do want you to see that you do have these different benefits of registering for your free account. These are absolutely fabulous talking points to be able to go through why you should set someone up on Property Watch. These are great to be able to use if you are thinking about posting your Property Watch tool over to social media and you just want to put a couple of bullet points about using the website. So you can view properties listed for sale. You can save your searches. Remember, these are all client benefits here. You can add it to your favorites. You can view new listings as they come on the market for each of your saved searches. You can have new listings automatically emailed to you. You can keep notes on your favorite properties and even rate your favorite properties. The nice thing about this is you can see all of this in your CRM and your client dashboard on RWT Connect as well. So any activities that your people might be doing, you can actually see those. It makes people an active part of the process, but also drives traffic to your website as well. So notice that we do have two options here. We do have a returning user login, and we also have a new user registration. If somebody were to come on your website and be able to, and they're doing a search for a property and they want to save a favorite, or they want to maybe schedule an appointment or do something like that, it's going to ask them to register. They do have the option of doing a new user registration and doing their own save searches. But you can also set up your people so that when in your client manager, so that when they're returning, they can just go ahead and pop their email in here. I do happen to have an email of one of my people in our test account here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that real quick. Pop that in there. So we're using Julie Abrams today. And they do have the option to remember this as well. They can also use their Facebook account to log in if they'd like to. We can go ahead and log in as Julie. So you're going to notice a couple of things on the client dashboard, and these are all the different tools that are available, again, in Property Watch. They can go back to their dashboard. They have an opportunity to go back to their saved searches. They have favorite properties, and it also includes My Agent's Notes. So this is where you can actually put notes back and forth to your clients on their own dashboard as well. So that section is in here. You're going to notice that they have some history in here. So these are the different searches that might be saved or things that they've done. They have an opportunity to update their own profile here. Maybe they're changing an email address or they need to change a name or something like that. They can actually go ahead and change their own profile information. And also it's completely branded to you. So this is obviously our test account right here, but your photo and all of your information will be on here. And they do have the opportunity, again, to email you or go to your website if they need to. They're going to have all of their saved searches. So this is our training accounts. We have lots of weird saved searches in here, but notice that they're all pretty much labeled with what they are. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes when we start doing our saved searches.
Hey, Kristen.
And they also have an opportunity to have some favorite properties. Go ahead.
Can you show how you get to where you are now? We have someone in the chat saying that they are trying to get to their login dashboard, and so they want to know how to get where you are now.
So go to your website, and then you should have a login button up at the top somewhere, either up in the upper right-hand corner, or it's going to be in your navigation bar. This is a good opportunity.
Yeah,
Go ahead. So notice that now that I'm logged in, I also have the opportunity, this is a good show here, that it's going to show a little person icon, but it's also going to let me go back to all of the different things here. So if I stay logged in, I can always get back to my dashboard once I'm logged in as a client as well. So here's all my different saved searches, my saved properties. And then I also have things like my favorite properties where I can go and tell them to email me updates on a specific property. And these are also, again, my favorites that I'm keeping an eye on. So it's a really interactive, great dashboard for your clients to be able to use, and to also just be able to have a place to be able to not only communicate with you, but also just to have all their different saved options, their saved searches and their favorite properties in one place. So let's go ahead and start showing you guys how you can go ahead and set one of these up. I'm actually going to start with a different client over here. So I'm logged into RWT Connect, and I'm actually going to go back to my dashboard so we can start from the beginning. And again, I'm logged in as Mary Agents. This is our training account. This is what it should look like for you. And I'm just going to go to that hamburger menu in the upper left-hand corner. Remember, those are those three lines right up in here. And if I click that, I can also click over to Clients and then my contact list. So this all starts with putting a contact into the system. You'll notice I have a bunch of different contacts in here, and there's that Julie Abrams account that we just took a look at. We'll actually go back to her in just a second, but we're going to start from scratch here. And all we need to do is go ahead and create a contact. So maybe we met somebody, let's just say at an open house, and they're looking for a particular neighborhood or they have a particular criteria. We want to go ahead and add them to our CRM, and we're going to go ahead and set up a saved search for them. So I'm going to go ahead to the Create Contact button. And this is going to bring me up to the contact information card. There's lots and lots and lots of different fields in here, but really you only need an email address to get started in order to be able to send this out. But I do want you to see that you do have lots and lots and lots of different fields that you can use just in case. We're just going to make this nice and short and sweet. So let's just say something like, oops, out there. And buyer. And we're going to make her annebuyer@fakeemail.com. And of course, you can add any additional information you want to in here as well. Notice that you do have a place for a second contact. So if you do need to add somebody as a second contact, you can do that as well. And then you have this little box here called Add Second Contact to CC on Marketing. If you need to be able to send these search results to two people at one time, and they maybe have two different email addresses, you can certainly do that by putting their first name, last name, and email address in here as well, and then clicking that box that says add second contact to CC on marketing to make sure you're sending to both of them. We do only have the option to send to 2 emails at one time. So if you do need to send to a third, you may have to set up another account for that. And again, you can add all of this information. Just remember, just like everything else in our system, you're going to come to a stopping point where it's going to ask you to save or add or submit. You want to go ahead and make sure that you do that before you get all the way down here and start setting up more information. Otherwise, it won't save what's above it. So we'll go ahead and add that contact info. And all it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and refresh. You're going to notice that we're going to start to get some buttons over here. Some of this should correspond with some of the things that we just talked about in that client dashboard. But there we have Ann Buyer, and there is her email address. And here's one of the most important things that I can tell you. If you scroll all the way down here, you have a button right here called Property Watch Access. This needs to be checked in order to start doing save searches and in order for that client dashboard to be initiated. So when you put in a contact, make sure that you're just checking that box and then hit save changes. Now, if you are using the import feature and you're maybe importing 50 contacts or 10 contacts, whatever you happen to do, one of the steps in there says, do you want to activate these clients? That question is asking, do you want to check that box automatically? The nice thing is there isn't anything that goes out to clients at that point, so you should just say yes. So if there is an email in your spreadsheet that you happen to be importing, go ahead and just say yes so you don't have to do that individually. It will really save you some time in the long run. All right, so now I have Ann Buyer, and if I scroll all the way down here, again, just want to show you that we do have that web client property watch access checked. And I'm going to go over to this web activity tab right here. So this web activity tab is going to let me know a lot of different information, but it's also where I can go ahead and set them up on different saved searches, and I can see their activity and things like that. So you can see their history here. I manually entered this person. It came from me. This is when I entered them. You're going to start to see some activity summary in the future. So as they have saved searches or they save their favorites and things like that, these numbers will certainly go up. As we start getting into their activity, it's going to start to show us what they looked at and where they went on the website. This is a little big brotherish, but it does help in the long run, especially with some conversations. But here we go down here to our searches and email notifications and our favorite properties section. Of course, these start to get filled in as they start to save favorite properties and as you start to send them saved searches. You'll see this create button because we checked the box on Property Watch. If you don't see this create button, it means that that box has not been checked. I just want to reiterate this. So if you put in a contact or a client or you're doing import and you haven't either said that you want to go ahead and activate people or you haven't just checked that Property Watch box, you won't see the create button. So if you don't see it, you know exactly what the problem is. You can go pop right over and go ahead and check that box. Once that box is checked and saved, you'll see these create buttons. So we're just going to go ahead and hit the create button here, and it's going to take us over to our website. The nice thing is it knows who we're logged in as and who we're trying to work as, because I actually tried to log into that person. There we go. Just want to make sure it popped over to Ann Buyer and it didn't hold on to that Julie information from before. So even though this looks like our live website, the website's going to know who we're saving information for as we go through. So this is the search that's actually on your website right now. And this is where we're going to go ahead and start to put in some information. We can put things in like city or a zip code or school district, and then we can go ahead and start to filter things down. So I'm going to do a couple of save searches today just so that you can kind of see what they look like. Won't spend a ton of time here, just because you can go in and kind of set yourself up and experiment in order to kind of get the feel of how to do this. So let's say that Ann Buyer here is looking for a specific school district. So maybe she needs to be in Grassfield High School. So I'm just going to start typing in Grassfield up here in the main search bar. And you notice that it's going to start to try to guess what I'm looking for. So in this case, it's asking if I'm looking for either one of these neighborhoods. Certainly we could start there if we needed to. But in this case, we're looking at Grassfield High right there. And if I go ahead and click that, it's going to start to filter on down to just the Grassfield High School properties. There we go. It refreshed. Notice that you can start to see here what we're doing for our search criteria. So it's right in this section right here. So right now it's just all property types and it's active, pending, and contingent properties, but it is starting to go ahead and filter down. I can go ahead and click this filter button right here, and it's going to bring me to all the other options that I have available to me for these safe searches. So in this case, I just want single family homes. So I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck all the different property types. No. And maybe I only want to send them active properties. I don't want to send them anything with a contingency on it. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that box. So this will only send them active properties. And then I can go ahead and put in my price range. So maybe I'm going to have this be 400 to maybe 650. Now, if you are used to using anything that comes out of the matrix system, you're going to know that my first warning is going to be you're going to have to put in those 3 last zeros. Otherwise, you're only going to send the properties for $400 to $650. Probably one of the biggest mistakes we see people make fairly often because we're just not used to putting in those zeros anymore because the system automatically puts them in the MLS. So make sure that you're just putting in those 3 zeros. There we go. So now it's 400,000 to 650,000. You can certainly do your bedrooms and bathrooms if you need to for a minimum square footage and lot size as well. And then we'll get down to some of these other sections here, but you do have your built, garage spaces, stories, days on site, and then any special requirements that they might have. I'm going to leave this one nice and short and simple with just a price range and a school district for the time being. We'll do another one that has some more features. But as soon as I'm done putting in any of my criteria, I'm going to go ahead and click done. And then it has gone ahead and changed. And now I can go ahead and save this search. So that save search button is right here in the upper right-hand corner. So notice that it's telling me that I'm logged in as an agent and it's going to ask me to label my search. Don't forget that I went ahead and made this something that was logical. Your clients will obviously be able to see this. So we want to make sure that we have something that they might understand, or also something that we might be able to use in the future for someone else if we need to. We can actually reuse these searches, which is kind of cool. So let's just say this is Grassfield High School, 400 to 650K. And then how often do they want to be updated? So daily, or you have different criteria here as well. Multiple per day is also another option, and then go ahead and hit save. All right, so we have gone ahead and saved that for that particular client. And if I go over to her dashboard, you'll notice that I now have a new safe search over here. But I'm also going to go ahead and return to her client contact card over here. So here we have Ann Buyer. I'm just going to go ahead and hit refresh. And notice that she has a new save search down here. And when it was modified, we can also edit this if we need to. So maybe she needs to change her price range, and we're going to go ahead and do that for her. We can certainly modify that. You'll notice that we have this box called text alerts right here. We do have an add-on service for doing text alerts. It does have an additional cost to it. If you are interested in that, I can show you where you can get more information, or you can email us at web support and we'll be happy to give that information to you for that add-on service as well. So you'll also notice that we have some website activity for this person here. So we now have a save search for Grassfield High School. And what happened is that an email just went out to Ann Buyer that said, hey, your agent just saved a new save search for Grassfield High School, 400 to 650. And here are the first 10 results. And then an email will continue to go out with new properties as they come on the market, or price changes, or anything that has an update based on that criteria. And of course, that's going to go out multiple times per day. So that's going to go out when those listings go ahead and change versus a daily wrap up, because we changed that there. If there are too many emails, you could certainly change it to daily if you needed to. So you can go ahead and change your email frequency. I do like to note the email frequency here because if you get to a point where somebody is not looking anymore, maybe they've gone ahead and put in an offer, they don't want to receive the emails anymore, you can certainly just go ahead and turn that off if you want to. It does save their saved searches in here so that they can get back to them if need be. Maybe a deal falls through, maybe it doesn't pass inspection, whatever it happens to be. You could always go ahead and turn that back on if you need to. You also do have the option of deleting one if you want to as well. We do get to the point where sometimes they're not sure where they want to live. They've got lots of different saved searches going on. So you can go ahead and just kind of clean this up if you need to and hit delete as well. I want to, at this point in time, go back to the client list real quick. And I want to go back into that established person that I had so you can see what all the information will be once you set up somebody on a Save Search. So here's that Julie Abrams. Remember, she is the first one that I logged in as. And she's an established account. Remember, this one's a little weird because it's my training account. We use this for all sorts of craziness in here. But I'm going to go over to her web activity tab. And you're going to notice that she has a lot more activity in here, and you can start to see what she's done. So you can see when she was created, you can see that she has 9 saved searches and different favorite properties. You can see that she's actually submitted a couple of forms from those properties. These were appointment requests. But here's where you can start to get that little big brother-ish going on your website. So you can see that she saved a new search at 9:52 this morning for Princess Anne High School for 500 to 600. That's a search that obviously she created herself. You can see that she was looking at various listings for whatever reason. You can see that even before then, she had searches, saved searches for a particular community. She has different saved searches in here. So this is all the activity, and it's going to save the last 100. So you can see we've used this for training, this account now since 2021, when she started adding favorites. So we do know that sometimes these buyers are long-term, so it does help to have these accounts set up for them. And here you can see we have the different searches and email notifications that are going out. So the one that we just created was obviously done with daily. And then you can certainly see any of these favorite properties. So she did favorite a couple of properties this morning. We can go ahead and take a look. So maybe we're not familiar with this particular property. It's just going to take us right over to the website, and we can see that property that they went ahead and saved on there as well. So that's what it looks like when you start to get a lot of different activity into an account. We really do love this because we know that buyers sometimes change their mind. My favorite thing to say is sometimes they'll, say that they absolutely positively don't want to buy a house with a pool. They don't want the maintenance on it. But the inventory is a little tight. They don't necessarily have what they're looking for in a house that doesn't have a pool in it. And then all of a sudden you start to notice that they keep clicking on the same house over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it has a pool. It's not something that they have ever considered, but it's always great to pick up the phone and you can say something like, hey, I know we're having trouble finding a home for you right now, but here's a couple of other options. You can always include that one with the pool. We did work with an agent at one point in time that when we logged in and looked at a particular client, we noticed that they had been looking at the exact same house over and over and over and over and over again. And we weren't sure why. But comes to find out that they absolutely loved the home. They were just waiting to see if it had been reduced or not. The agent who had it listed was not with our company, but it was a great opportunity for our agent to go ahead and pick up the phone and ask if there was any wiggle room in that price range. And they were able to go ahead and make a deal on that home, which was amazing. And it was a home for a little over $1 million at the time. Certainly has increased in value now. But it was because they were able to see that their clients had really honed in on one particular home and they kept going back to it over and over and over and over again. So a lot of this also starts to initiate those conversations when they start to do that, when you can start to see some of that web activity in here. So while we're on Julie Abrams' account, let's go ahead and just do another save search for her. Maybe she has decided that she's going to look for some investment opportunities. So she's contacted us and we're going to go ahead and give her another save search while we're in here. So we do know that she's set up for Property Watch and that box has been checked, obviously. She has that create button right here. We can go ahead and create a save search for her. So let's go ahead and hit create. And again, it's going to go ahead and take me back to my website and I can start to pop in some additional criteria here. Now, here's the nice thing about this. You can actually put multiple criteria in this main search bar. So maybe Julie Abrams here doesn't know if she wants to have something in one city or another. You could certainly start putting something like, maybe she just wants something on the peninsula. So we're going to go ahead and put in Newport News and then maybe also Hampton. So I wanted you to see that you can actually put multiple criteria in here. Notice that it's now pulling in Hampton and Newport News. You can keep adding to this criteria in here. If they need Newport News and Hampton, and then they're looking for, or they're looking for maybe a specific zip code in York County, for example, maybe something in the lower county by Newport News, you can certainly go ahead and add a zip code in here as well, if you needed to. Then we can go ahead and start to filter it out again. I'm going to leave all the different property types. She's not completely, not sure what she wants in here, but we can go ahead and just leave all the property types. I'm going to go ahead and pull out those pendings and contingents again. I'm going to go ahead and lower my price range in here. So let's go with 250. And maybe our max is going to be 400. Remember to put in those zeros. This is an investment property, so she wants to make sure she has enough bedrooms to be able to rent it out. So maybe we're going to go ahead and put in our bedroom or our bedrooms here as a minimum of 3 and a minimum of 2 bathrooms. We'll go ahead and put in our square footage if we need to, or even lot size. And then we want to also make sure that this has a garage. So for garage spaces, I'm going to put a minimum as 1. And let's stay on there and hit done. See what we get. All right, we got 20 results. So these are the different properties, and I want you to notice that we have, again, Newport News and Hampton, and we have our different criteria, falls in the price range. Everybody has a garage. Everybody has at least 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. So I'm going to go ahead and save that search for her. And I can say something like Peninsula Investment Opportunities. There we go. And now that has been added to Julie's account. If we need to go ahead and go back to her account again, and we want to go ahead and create another search, we can certainly do that. You don't have to close that tab. It's actually going to go ahead and open a brand new one if we wanted to go back to her account and hit create. And it's just going to let us start over again. And we can certainly add some additional criteria here. Maybe she's going to look for a specific neighborhood this time. So let's go ahead and just filter it out by a neighborhood and not any other criteria. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to just skip this bar altogether and we're going to go straight to filter. And again, I'm just going to pull out those pendings and contingents. And I'm going to scroll all the way down here and I am going to search by subdivision name. So in this case, I'm just going to go with something I'm familiar with. So let's try Eagle Harbor. I'm going to just start with Eagle, and I want you to notice that it's starting to try to guess again what we're doing, but I want you to also notice that we do have multiple options here coming from different MLSs. You can combine the MLSs, especially if you're in an area where the inventory might be in 2 different MLSs. Or if it's only in one MLS or another. We see this pretty often in Williamsburg and Points North. We also see this a lot in our North Carolina stuff where it might be listed in RAIN, but not NCR MLS or vice versa. So if you do need to add 2 different MLSs in here, totally fine. You can pick it up from both if you need to. So I'm just going to narrow this down a little bit more and go with Eagle Harbor. And there's my Eagle Harbor coming out of RAIN MLS. The majority of information should be in here. I can certainly do that. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up on that though. I do want to add another one. So we'll go ahead and hit Eagle Harbor and maybe want Eagle Harbor coming out of the Williamsburg MLS as well. So you can add multiple MLSs in here if you need to. So there's the inventory right now that's in Eagle Harbor that's just active. And I can go ahead and save that search. And again, I'm just going to label this something that is logical. So Eagle Harbor and hit save. And of course, you can add any criteria to this as you want as well. Just be aware that sometimes you end up with 0 results and you're not 100% sure why. This is always a great place to look to see if maybe something got stuck or if something got chosen that you weren't quite sure what it was. Do double check the MLS too, just to make sure that there's actually results in a particular neighborhood if you're looking for that as well. And sometimes just be careful that you haven't put anything in this search bar. Maybe you were starting a search for a particular area or a school district, and then you decided to start filtering it down. And for whatever reason, it didn't match. You can go ahead and pull all of that out. If for whatever reason you do need to reset your search, maybe it came up with 0 or you want to go ahead and just reset it from here. Maybe you're doing multiple save searches. You can certainly go ahead and just use the reset button. It is just going to reset it back to the default on here, and you can go ahead and click done, and it brings us back to our main account on here as well. For those of you who aren't used to seeing the new format where we're just showing listings, if you do want to go ahead and see the map, or if you wanted to see the side by side, you certainly have those options in here as well. So as you're making your searches, if you want to just double check to make sure that everything is where it needs to be, you can certainly click on what we call the split view, which will give you properties on the right and the map on the left. It loads a lot faster if we leave it on the property view, but you can certainly have that view if you need it. All right, I'm going to go back to her account here. So this is Julie Abrams' account. We just created a couple of saved searches for her in different criteria. I'm just going to hit refresh here. And she's going to have those new saved searches that were created. So there's that Eagle Harbor one right there for her as well. And there's that Peninsula investment opportunities that we created. So we can certainly turn those off. We can edit this search again if we needed to, or we can go ahead and delete it. If I go back to, hopefully this is Julie Abrams' account, there we go. And I go back to her dashboard. So I'm on my website right now and I've gone back to her dashboard. She'll also be able to see in her history that she has the new Eagle Harbor. She has the new Peninsula investment opportunity. She has a new one that I created earlier this morning for Princess Anne High School. And then here's her saved searches. So if she is on there, not only is she getting an email about those, but she can also log into the dashboard at any time and be able to click on any of those saved searches and get those search results as well. So there's those same search results she can get on here. So one of the questions we do get after this is there any information about the client dashboard that I can give to my clients that I'm working with? And the answer to that is yes. So I'm going back over to RWT Connect real quick, and I am going to go back to that hamburger menu, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And we have the search bar right here. Sometimes people miss it, but we do have a search bar. And if you type in that search bar, client dashboard, and give it a second to load, it will go ahead and bring up the one sheeter we have on the client dashboard. So we have a couple of different options here that we've done with different guides and things like that. But we do have a one sheeter on the client dashboard that you can have as well. So this is a piece that you can give to your clients as you start to work with them. So if you're starting to work with a new buyer, or maybe you want to have something like this printed out at your open house, you can certainly have that. That just shows the benefits of having the client dashboard and all of the different things that they can do on that client dashboard. So that is available for you on RWT Connect at any time. If you do get stuck on the client dashboard or any of this training, certainly this recording will be available in the coaching and training section to be able to view on RWT Connect or on the YouTube channel for our training. But don't forget that you also have training at any time available to you under the dashboard, training, and then training materials and training admin. We do have specific guides for those of you who just like to follow along. Step by step, we do have guides that are available in there for all of this as well, including how to promote this to your clients in a different way. Did anybody have any questions about setting up Property Watch or property notifications?
Yes. In the chat, it says just an agent reminder that you have to create and save a contact first, then go in, scroll down to add property watch. The property watch field isn't available until after creating the contact itself. Agents may be looking for that field when first creating the contact. We had some that missed that, so can you walk through that one more time, please?
Sure. Let's go ahead and add a new client one more time. All right, so I'm on my dashboard and I am going to my hamburger menu up here on the left-hand side and going to clients and contact list. It's going to bring up all my existing contacts, but I have the opportunity right here to create a contact. And I can go ahead and put in their information. So again, I'm just going to put in first name, last name, and email. That's all we need to get started here. So we're just going to have Bob Buyer and his email address right there. And then if I scroll down, I can go ahead and add that contact info. Remember, when you come to a stopping point, it says save, submit, add, something like that. Make sure you're hitting that button so that it saves everything above it. It's just going to refresh and bring us right back to that contact card. So there's Bob Byer, and here's his email address. I can go ahead and add any information that I want to. But if I go ahead and scroll on down, this is the section that Christian was talking about right here, this Property Watch Access. You have to check this button and hit Save Changes in order to be able to create save searches for someone. So just go ahead and check that box and hit Save Changes. I'm not going to do it on here because I want to show you what that looks like on Web Activity when you don't. So if you were to put in your person here and you went to go ahead and create a save search for them, remember I said that create button would not show up unless that box was checked. Here it is. I have not checked that box for whatever reason, and there's no create option right here. That is your tell that you have not checked that box. There's no create button. So I'm just going to go back to their profile real quick. Scroll down and just check the box for Property Watch Access and hit Save Changes. And again, if you're doing a client import, so if you are on your client list and you are doing an import from a spreadsheet, maybe you're going to go ahead and load your clients into the system. All the way down here at the bottom, on the import side, there is an option in your import that asks you specifically, do you want to set up the clients for Property Watch Access or for an account? Go ahead and say yes. It doesn't send anything out to them. It just checks that box en masse so that you do not have to go back and check it on an individual person. So always say yes when that question comes up as to whether you want to go ahead and create them account. All it's doing is taking every account that actually has an email address and just checking that box automatically as you load those clients in. So what's the benefit of using this search as opposed to Matrix and things like that? The big one is to drive traffic back to your website, to make sure that people are using your website. Again, we do know that there is an increase in your Google ranking when people are being driven back to your website. This is certainly something that will keep you branded in front of your clients, making sure that they're coming back. All of the emails that are going out from the system are completely branded to you. All of the emails that go out also have your signature file at the bottom of them. So if for those of you who have not set up your signature file in RWT Connect, we've given a couple of classes on those as well. But this is the standard one here, but you can also do custom ones. So if you want to promote additional tools, if you want to promote things like how much is your home worth, if you want to promote, some of our agents have squeeze pages where they're saying, here's my buyer book and things like that. All of those different emails that go out are driving back to not only your socials, but they're also maybe driving back to different tools that you have available. This is certainly something that you can customize if you need to. If you actually click that custom button, brings you up to an area where you can add additional information. You can delete this whole thing and start over if you wanted to. It's just bringing in the standard information to start with from your profile that you have. The other part of this is also that client dashboard. It's one of the reasons why we introduced the client dashboard, not just because it's kind of a cool feature of your website, because it also makes the search very interactive with your clients and also fosters great communication between your clients. It really does give you an edge up on just sending something out from the MLS. The other portion of that is that we have a competing, essentially MLS system search in our area. So most of us here are obviously primary on RAIN, but not all of us. But RAIN MLS and RAIN.com, if you are branding your client to say, hey, I'm going to set you up on RAIN and I'm going to send out saved searches, that RAIN name gets in their heads. And there is a great possibility that they end up going back to the RAIN website that's public instead of your own website to be able to search for properties. And just as a reminder on there that all of that is branded to the listing agent. If you are sending them information out of your website, every single listing that's in the MLS is branded to you. All of those contact information boxes are coming to you. All of the appointment contact boxes are coming to you as long as you're sending them back to your own individual website. So there's lots of different reasons why people choose to use this over using the MLS searches, but a lot of it has to do with traffic, branding, and really kind of keeping your clients as close to you as possible. I will mention too, just because I have a bunch of friends who are actively looking in the market right now, that they tend to share listings on social media like, hey, going to look at this property tomorrow, or this is what we're looking at today, or hey, what do you guys think? And we would certainly want all of that traffic and all of that branding to be able to go back to your website. And if it's something that they can grab easily because they've received it in an email, or if it's something in their dashboard and they can save it and they can share it on their socials, again, all of that branding is coming back to you. All of that branding is available for the public to see as well. So just a different benefit that a lot of people don't think about is trying to encourage sharing off of your website for clients and specifically. All right, any additional questions?
Hi, Kristen. I have a question, and you probably mentioned it, but when a client makes a comment, saves a home, et cetera, do we get an email notification that they have been on the dashboard, or do we actually have to keep going to the dashboard to check?
So there's a couple of ways to set that up. That's a great question. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard here real quick. So a couple of things on here. You will be able to see at a glance if somebody has been recently active. So of course, the Julie Abrams one has been recently active. And on your dashboard, you have two options. If I scroll down, you can see the client activity, and you can see that Julie Abrams was active and she's online now, and what's going on with her. If you click that, it's going to go to her client activity card that we're just looking at. You also have something called the Insights dashboard. This is not going to be 100% set up because I wasn't looking at that class today. But your Insights dashboard is also going to show if people have been on the site, things that have gone out, emails that have gone out, things like that, activity that's going on. So here's our most recent contacts, Bob Byer, Ann Byer, and Julie Abrams, and what's going on, whether we need to start them on a new action plan. But these are people that have been recently active as well. The Insights dashboard is a great class, by the way. This is recorded. It is something new for us. And if you have a lot of clients using the system, the Insights dashboard is a great place to be. You can also get notified by email if you need to. So a couple of things to look at for those client notifications. Again, back under my that hamburger menu. And we have a couple of different lead setting areas that you might want to look at just to see how you have it set up. I'm going to go to leads and I'm going to go to settings. And a couple of things here. This is actually going to tell me about the client registration options. So our sites are all set to go to a soft registration. So after 4 views on an agent website, it's going to ask them if they want to register. If they're already logged in, they're not going to get this, obviously. But it is a great way to get people registered on Property Watch, especially if they're starting to use it. So that's one. And then the other place that you can go is you can go to clients and you can go to notifications. And this really sets up how how often you're messaged from the system. So this is how often do you want to be notified? So this is for any future clients. This is anybody you might add from today forward, or anybody who finds your website and goes ahead and signs up on their own. Do you want to be notified anytime somebody logs in, anytime they save a favorite, anytime do you want to be CC'd on all their new listing and save favorite updates, all of their new save searches? And then also you have these for your existing clients as well. So you can also reset universally, whether you want to know every time somebody logs in, every time somebody saves a favorite, things like that. If you have an extremely busy dashboard and you have a lot of clients set up and you're getting a lot of notifications, you can certainly adjust this if you need to. The nice thing about this is also available on an individual basis. So if you know that these settings work for you for the majority of people, but maybe you have somebody who is super active and you're getting dinged all the time on different emails and things like that. If you go into any individual contact card, so I'm going to go into Julie Abrams here. And I go to notices, so that notification setting, I can also go ahead and change this for this very specific person. So you can really determine how often you want to be contacted by the system to let you know that your people are doing something. So it can be, you know, something as, I just want to know when they get really hot. So I want to know when they log in 3 times in 7 days. I want to know every time they log on, or if somebody is sitting in there saving hundreds of favorites for whatever reason, you can certainly turn that off for an individual person as well. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Any other questions before I let you go today?
Morning, Kristen. How much are the text alerts you mentioned earlier?
Sure. So there's a couple of different packages on those text alerts, and I'm going to show you where you can get that information. We're also happy to provide it from web support. So if I go to clients and contact list, that pop-up will keep coming up on my training account here. You're going to notice a button at the top called Open Text App. If you have the texting option, obviously this will go ahead and go into the text app that we have set up. If you need more information, you can see how much this is right here. So we have 2 options for Messenger Basic and then also Messenger Pro. This is a third-party add-on for texting out of the system. So those are your 2 options at the current rates right now. And again, we're happy to provide that information or walk through that again individually if we need to. Any other questions? Well, as always, I thank you for coming. This training class will be available again under coaching and training in RWT Connect. It'll also be available on the YouTube channel for training. So if at any time you need to go ahead and catch it again, or you want to go through those steps one by one and pause that video, that should be available for you in the next day or 2. Again, thank you so much and have a great and productive day.
Hey, Kristen,
Thanks, Kristen. This was great.
there was one more question in the chat that just popped up.
We have a general question of what is the difference between notes and client notes in the contact card? Sure, I can go ahead and cover that real quick. Give me 1 second to reshare here. So one is private and one is public, but as always, since my best friend is an attorney, all of it is discoverable. So let's go to Julie Abrams. Right here. And we have notes and client notes. So the client notes section are going to be literally notes that are sent back and forth to your client. So when we're looking at their client dashboard, let me find that tab. Hold on 1 second. There we go. So under my agent's notes right here, these will be any kind of notes or documents that have been sent. So there's no agent notes right here, but I did send a document to them at one point in time. So we can certainly go ahead and create a new note for them, and it'll go ahead and show up in that note section if we needed to. We can also send them some files. We certainly don't want to send them any legal files in here. We want to make sure we stick everything under .loop, but files can be something like, hey, I sent you a PDF on staging your home or getting your home ready for photography or whatever it happens to be. Those are great files to be able to send, maybe some new homes information or something like that, but we certainly don't want to put anything legal in here. So that client notes is that information that'll go back and forth in there. My notes is literally my notes. So these are notes that you can keep on your own. So this one happens to say client likes homes with avocado green tubs. Certainly something funny in here, but you can go ahead and just keep your client notes in here. These are your notes for your clients. They don't actually see any of these notes, but remember, anything that you put in here is discoverable. So we certainly don't want to put anything in here that would violate fair housing or anything like that. So just be aware. So there you go. Any other questions? Nope. All right. Well, I will let you be then. Thank you so much.